Hello, everyone. Welcome to Enjoy the Book of Life. We're here today to talk about a resource, really excited about. I think it's a great resource. If you haven't heard about it, make sure that you listen to this one. We're here with Brother Dave Dixon, all the way out in California. So I'm going to let you start us off. What is this resource that we're going to be talking about today?
The resource is actually a website that I use quite a bit. The title is voicesforchrist.org, and it's essentially just a massive collection of messages. I think last I checked, it was well over, I don't know, 60,000 something messages. You'd be hard pressed to not find a speaker or a topic on this website that hasn't been preached on one way or the other. There are other resources on the website. There are writings and other resources that you can use, hymns, but the predominant use for this website would be the messages. I spent a lot of time in the car. I work in Los Angeles, and LA is known for a lot of things, and traffic is one of them. So if you're a roadie and spend a lot of time in traffic, this is a tremendous resource. I can usually burn through several messages per day
Oh, wow.
just based on my drive in and out of Los Angeles. So yeah.
Yeah, I think last I heard 65,000 files, and it's expanding,
Right.
which is amazing. They're still adding to it. There's quite a few volunteers that are digitizing, finding old messages, and then new speakers, new conferences, pulling from those. I was looking into this a little bit, and there was a recent article about a little bit about the history of Voices for Christ in Cornerstone Magazine. If you want to look it up, it's the March 2021 edition. Anyone that's interested with that. But it started back in 1972. Brother Dwight Beavers, he was taking old cassettes, and he was, as well as reel-to-reel messages even. They say the oldest message on the website is from 1939. We're way back when they just first started recording audio messages. And so they moved it. Obviously, it used to be almost like you check out, and he would mail you a cassette from his own, this huge collection. Well, thankfully, once the internet popped up, and this is one of the marvelous things about the internet, like this website that you're sharing, how it's a resource. It's so much easier. You just download it, and here you are, you listening to several a day, where you're able to do that sort of thing. So primarily, you use it in the car, right? Listening to it. How do you find what messages to listen to? Sometimes with 65,000. That's a little bit overwhelming. How do you personally pick what are you going to listen to today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the search engine is very helpful, and they've done a good job on the website. You can type in a speaker's name if you're remembering a message you heard long ago, or you can even type in a conference that you've attended. And just by using the name of that conference or that speaker, it'll pull up all the messages that they've given. Outside of that, you can kind of narrow down your search, and I'll even type in things like Ephesians 3, and it'll pull up any speaker that's spoken on that passage or that chapter. You can fine tune it even onto names or topics, breaking of bread or head coverings or things like that. And so like I said, the search, you can spend a lot of time, obviously, on some of these topics. But like I said, I've used this website for years. They're constantly adding to it, as you mentioned, and I've yet to find a portion of scripture that I couldn't hear a message from. It's a tremendous tool for Bible study. If, like I said, you're spending a lot of time in the car and you can't physically read something, being able to listen to brothers from years and years ago, or even modern day speakers speaking on these passages, it's a tremendous tool for me.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I like is that you mentioned how they're organized by speaker, and sometimes within that speaker, it'll be by conference. And so sometimes you'll get a series. And so it will be, you are really looking for message 3 in the series. And then you're like, maybe I should, finish this one out. And it kind of has these natural progressions that you can have throughout the website itself. So let's say you're looking for a topic specifically. One of the things I like, so if I'm preparing a message and I'm working my way through a subject or a text, after I've got that prepared, sometimes I'll go through and I'll search that topic or that text. And one of the things I like is how it will pop up this diversity of speakers, and sometimes they'll all be preaching on the same thing, but I'll get a variety of viewpoints, a variety of topics. Could you comment any on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I use the resource in a very similar way at the end of my study, just to, maybe fact check some things that are some ideas that I thought I had, or again, just to hear different points of view, different angles. You will have a variety of speakers. I think the website's done a good job of kind of covering the gamut of, Plymouth Brethren or Brethren speakers, but even some we could say outside the circle. And when you get that perspective as well. And so I'll use that resource quite a bit in message prep and in even further Bible study preparation.
Good. Yeah. And voicesforchrist.org. That .org is important. I think if you go to a .com, it takes you to a different site. So right. Voicesforchrist.org. A lot of good resources, a lot of good messages. Would you have any suggestions, some speakers, some topics that you would highly recommend for someone who's just going in and again, might not have a specific topic, a specific section that they're really interested, or maybe even just a suggestion like start with your favorite book of the Bible, or something like that. What sort of suggestions would you have?
Well, you're not supposed to have favorite speakers, right? You're not supposed to chase the speakers, but we do have those that we're drawn to and we enjoy a lot. And this isn't this is a compliment to you and to your family, but I grew up listening to your dad a lot, and he has quite a few messages on the website. But I wasn't of the age to even listen to your grandfather and being able to hear from him. And so through this website, I'm able to go back and hear names that I've heard referenced in messages, but I've never actually heard them speak. And you're actually able to listen to them. So, with the last name Nicholson, that's a good place to start. I also enjoy just the book that you're studying or the topic that you're interested in currently. So if you're in a study on prayer, type in prayer or the prayer meeting or things like that, and just start working your way, and you will see again it can be overwhelming. So I would try to maybe even pick a portion of scripture that you're studying that's about prayer, and then search that, use that as your kickoff point.
Yeah, good. A few things that I found interesting in that article is that they're looking to expand into other languages. They're looking to add apps, which I think would be great, iPhone and Android. And they put a little note there in the bottom about if you're ever going through and you find something mislabeled, an actual audio that doesn't work, or something like that, to let them know. And there's contact information. To think with all these messages, and a few mistakes are going to slip through, and so I can sympathize with that. A little bit of help here and there, but really, honestly, as I've gone through it, I don't think I found any mislabeled items. And so again, a really helpful, very accurate resource.
Yeah, and it's a great point. And like I said, they're very they're very receptive of the criticism, and they want to fine tune this
Yeah.
tool as they can too. You do have to be careful sometimes, and you'll know this. We've all been there, where somebody, a preacher, will open up with a passage of scripture, and that was his opening thought, but then he goes into some totally different topic. It's happened maybe once or twice, not a lot, where you click on a message because that verse was referenced very early on, and then come to find out as you listen through the message, it was actually on another topic. But it's very rare. They've done a very good job in categorizing and
Yeah.
labeling.
And even that, it's easy enough to say, oh, well, I'll go to the next one on my list, because again, you search that topic, you've got a big long list. And like you said, with some of the speakers that are much older, that maybe I didn't listen to, I never actually have heard in person. Sometimes when I'm doing that kind of more random search, right, of a topic, and I get 3 or 4 names over here I've never heard of, and I listen to it, I'm like, oh, I need to listen to more of that speaker. I don't know anything about them, and might even ask a few people, what do you know about this person? I really enjoy their ministry through it, and kind of broaden your horizons that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I think it's a helpful resource. I think everyone needs to know about it, especially if you're spending a lot of time in the car. I think that's a really handy way to use those minutes, thinking on the Lord, working on your study. Again, if you're studying through something and you've got this resource, you can continue meditating on those things and seeing it from those different point of views. So thank you for sharing this with us.
Absolutely. Glad to help.